Hello friends, I hope you are doing good. And today I will talk about a new chess opening, and it's my favorite one. So it is about French defense. Today I'm going to talk about French defense. So there are many variation for French defense, but today I'm only talking about the French defense advanced variation, because it normally what happens is most of the people when they play French defense, they will most likely to encounter this to have this advanced variation only, because and you'll see why I'm talking about this right now. So what is French defense? French defense is for black, and it's a very simple opening. And usually beginners and intermediate players will play this because it's very simple. And but the variations are other variations are much simpler than the advanced variation. Advanced variation is a little bit difficult for me initially when I used to play for advanced variation. It was very difficult for me too. So what I have to do is I have to learn from the online games and see what is the best move that I can do. I can play to for the advanced variation. Okay, so at the end of the when I introduce you to this French variation, French defense variation, advanced variation, I will also help you see some games which will play this where black play advanced variation, and we'll see how they respond and how they what is the best move for black to play when they are playing the French defense. So let's get started. But so usually white plays, let's say white plays Rui Lopez, and he brings out e4, which is very common opening. So I'm taking Rui Lopez as the opening. And you'll see the reason why I picked up Rui Lopez, because the bishop will come to c4 to attack this f7 pawn. And here there is an advantage in French defense, because the first move is your e6. So immediately you block, even though bishop comes, the next move bishop comes here. It's basically the f7 pawn is protected. So this is the main advantage of having f7 pawn protected and playing French defense. As a beginner, you want to avoid this kind of trap. You know that mate in 3. So this is the trap you want to avoid. And usually all beginners and intermediate player play this particular trap where they checkmate on f7 pawn by taking f7 pawn, and maybe they do it through the knight or the bishop, knight or bishop, and with the help of queen sometimes. But the French defense help you avoid those scenario. It immediately protect your f7 pawn. And after, suppose once the bishop comes out in c4, the next move for black is to move the d5, play the d5. So don't worry, because this pawn is not going to create any problem, because still you have black king, black queen, which is protecting this square, d5 square. So even if white takes e takes d, then e takes d, d5, and bishop can't take it because the queen is protecting, the black queen is protecting this square. So bishop usually go back. This is one of the variation which is exchange variation, so we are not going to talk about this. I was only talking about the main line. What is the main line for French defense? So the main line is this: first e6 and then d5. This is the main line, and things get interesting once we reach the advanced variation. So let's begin again. Let's start again. So white plays something like e4. Black respond with e6, and then white want to take control of the center, so it plays d4, and black plays d5, the French defense. But instead of taking this, white wants to prevent this knight from coming out, and this will prevent us from castling immediately and safeguarding our king. So white will advance this particular pawn, the e5, e4 to e5, and then our knight cannot come out. But don't worry, because this is the advanced variation. This is the part of the plan, because see, the pawns are pointing on the queen side. So this means that it's pre-planned that our attack is going to happen. Black will attack on the queen side, and it's premeditated. Everything is pre-planned. So what happens is, our problem is this pawn. So you want to take this pawn, and usually the best move is to play the c5. This is how you tackle this pawn in French defense advanced variation. This is almost all the game which I have seen play c5 to capture this particular pawn. You can capture it immediately, or you may bring the knight and capture it later. Okay? But immediately the white will try to prevent it from capturing. White will want to protect it. This is not a problem. Okay, when the knight comes out, it's not a problem. Its problem is when the bishop comes out. The bishop is the strongest defender of these pawns. So black tries to take this bishop, the dark square bishop, so that it can break the defense and attack from queen side. So anyway, so c5 comes out, the knight comes out to protect the d4 pawn, and black will not move anything right now. Black will not move the knight here in the because if we back put knight here, what happens is the next move is bishop, light square bishop is going to come to b5 and pin the knight, and later on take the knight. If knight is gone, then you cannot take d4 pawn. So first move is to protect the queen to avoid this check. This is usually this happens, and it also improve your development. I mean, at the initial stage we want to develop as many pieces as we can. So it is part of the development that you bring the knight to d7. And black's next move would be to bring maybe protect this pawn with the bishop, or he will bring knight to c3, and if he brings knight c3, then this knight comes out. Maybe white can play this one. White can play to b5, but if white can play b5, suppose he plays b5, then the best move is to bring the queen to a5. Then this will be, later on we can take this particular bishop. Suppose he doesn't play like that, he brings some pawn to prevent support bishop before coming here, before coming to b5. That is okay. You can also push this pawn to a6 and prevent this from coming here. But this move is, the engine says, the most computer engine says, chess engine says that this move is the best move in whatever scenario. Either you bring this queen to b6, or a5, which is both are acceptable, and this is the best move. Suppose white plays this one. Okay, white d takes c5, then the bishop comes out. Okay, so this is very good. If bishop comes out, it's good. But in case he brings bishop earlier, then the best move is to kill this particular d4 pawn, and most probably knight takes, because that is a blunder. If he takes through knight, it's a blunder, because you can take with then this knight takes e5 pawn. So he will not do that. White will not play that. And if we take this pawn, bishop takes, and this is the best time to take this bishop, because this bishop is the defender. So take this and take this, and immediately you can bring your knight to pin this, bring your bishop to pin this knight, and then he plays something. Maybe he can play something like, now bishop comes out, d3. This is okay, because everything is in white's favor. So this is the position white wants to take. Either come this square or not want to come to c7, then go to b and threaten this knight. Knight will go back. So everything is in black's favor, and after that bring the knight, and he castles, because do want to take chances, so white castles, and we also castle, black also castle. So this is the way of doing advanced variation, and most important thing is developing the bishop first. First thing is to develop the bishop and before knight, because if you develop the bishop, develop the knight before bishop, then that bishop, white bishop, will come to b5 and exchange it. Or if you don't bring the bishop, if you lay, it will give you check and exchange it and create a pawn imbalance. I mean, give you a double pawn. So that is a problem. So this is French defense advanced variation, and slightly difficult to play. One thing you should notice that let's go back to beginning. If we are, as a black, we play queen side, then it is also possible that white will play king side attack immediately, because white's pawns are pointing to the king side, so we will try to attack on king side immediately, regardless of what we play on the queen side. So let's see. Let's say white plays this move. I'm sorry, it's play e4. Let's say white plays e4, e6, white play d4, and we play d5, and he brings out knight. So we play the advanced variation in the c5 pawn to take this particular, put pressure on this d4 pawn, and immediately what happens is this bishop is, dark square bishop is protector for this knight. The knight comes here, and queen cannot take this knight, and we play, suppose we play this c5 takes d4, c takes d4, then he will not take this, but instead he will come this side, because so far no knight has come out. This knight is the protector of these two square, where it prevents the queen from coming. That is why before castling we move this one here, but we don't do it now. Let's see again. I think I made a mistake. So let's see once more. So e4, e6, d4, and d5, then advanced variation, so it moves to e5, and we to c5. Now what happens is, next is this bishop, we play something like this. He takes, and then he plays here. So we play bishop, and white plays knight to g5, and now queen cannot take it, and for this you can come here. So black plays something like want to take it, but that doesn't matter because he can play something like g4. So if bishop takes, then bishop takes and threaten to queen. So it will launch an immediate attack. White will launch an immediate attack on the king side, and for which the reason is simple, that we are not having any, we don't have any knight here, which will protect these two squares like h5 and g4, not cover that two squares. That is why it is very important that we launch queenside attack as quickly as possible and move these two minor pieces, that is our knight and bishop, as soon as possible, so that we can king can castle in the king side. That is one problem with the advanced variation. Another problem is that you cannot see, the knight comes here, you cannot push this pawn. This is very dangerous, because if you push this pawn, this will open up the whole thing. That knight will come here, but this will create a hole here, which will be a problem. Suppose queen is here, then queen come, then black can launch an attack here. White can launch an attack by taking this. Maybe he will bring the bishop and exchange with this particular piece. But exchanging that one piece is very dangerous. You cannot move this. You should not push this pawn, because it's very dangerous, and it will cause all the pieces from white to come here and checkmate your king. So I think we have some games. So my favorite site is chess games, because so for some reason I like the simplicity of this website. So French, you can go to chessgames.com, click on this search, what we searched here, the collection of French defense advanced variation games, and when the site opens up, you can see some games here. Okay, so one is NN versus Greco. This is very good game. Maybe this game is okay. Game from Mikhail Tal. So we'll see this game and see how black plays. We'll see this game and see how won by white. Black plays. So we don't want to see this one. You want to see games where black has won. Black has won. Okay, Sparsky. This is good game. Okay, so Boris Sparsky versus Victor Korchnoi, and so I have to flip the screen, because right now we want to play as black. So Want to see how it works. Okay, so I'm good. So white plays d4 and French defense, which is e6, then e4, then d5. Typical advanced variation, and you see immediately he brings the c5 pawn. So this is the way to go for French defense. Always bring c5 to attack this pawn on d4. So sometimes white plays the move c3. So he brings knight immediately, and the consequence is that the bishop will come here and exchange sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, for intermediate players. But for grandmasters or like higher rated player will won't play like this moves like this. They won't play like this. Okay, so immediately bishop comes up to protect, because possibility of knight coming on b5 is there. So the knight comes out. This knight comes out immediately because, as I told you, the white can launch king side attack. We don't want king side attack, so we are taking these pieces out so that we can do a castling. Takes the pawn. Takes. Now both bishop is pointing to this particular pawn on d4. d4 is important because once d4 is gone, then e5 will also be gone. Okay, so white brings a protection for d4. Knight comes here. Knight on c2 to protect the d4. Okay, right, time to exchange. Now bishop comes out. Now what will black is trying to castle. To prevent the bishop, now he plays a6. Black got a good position here, but what I want to take away from this is black is launching all queen side attack. No matter how they play, the attack is on the queen side for black. It doesn't attack on the king side because the rule is that French defense advanced variation, the pawns are pointing on the queen side, so you must attack from this side, queen side, and win the game. Okay. Now that queen is safeguarded, and castling is completed, is taking his chance by moving this pawn on the f6, so that they can exchange, and this this rook will have a complete f square, completely dominate the f pawn. The rook is trying to open this particular file, the f file. So I think when you are castled completely and you have safeguarded your king, then you are fit to move this pawn and exchange it. If white doesn't exchange, then you push the pawn, because all you want is to dominate this file, or maybe exchange with that other other rook, and later on gain some advantage. Okay, let's see another game. Let's see if French defense is played like that. Advanced variation is played like that for every game. Okay, so you'll see one more game, NN versus Greco. This game black has won, so we'll see how it works. Okay, I have to change the orientation. Okay, so now I'm looking from the black's perspective. Okay, so what I'm going to do is e4, this time e4 comes up, same e6, d5, typical advanced variation, and c5 comes up. Knight comes out, knight on f3 comes out, and typical move that bishop goes to d7 to protect the pinning. We don't want the bishop b5 to pin our knight. Okay, now this is very dangerous because this black bishop is very strong here. He is the defender of the entire pawn chain for white. Okay, but this is another way to play. Sometimes you push the pawn, but I checked the computer, checked the engine, chess engine, and it says that it's unfavorable and it's not the right move. But I think black has played well, and all the other moves he have done very well, so doesn't matter. See, this is the problem. It brings up the pawn to exchange it. And you don't want to exchange from that side. You want to exchange on the center. Okay, so one more pawn we have to bring to make compensate for that. Okay, white brings a4. Okay, so this is entirely pawn game. Pawn exchange will open up the positions and then attack will happen. Okay. Now black is bringing out all the pieces so that they can castle immediately. Okay. Now, as I said before, this bishop, white bishop, dark square bishop is very strong, and the knight will come out here for attack, and it happened here. See, knight comes to g5, but before that, so the only option is to go ahead and capture that knight, bishop capture bishop, and do the castling. So pretty much advanced variation is that much, and there is nothing more to it, except that it depends on players how they choose to play, whether they want to open a position before or they want to play with pieces. And but the game and the variation is very much steady, and the moves are well known. So you just have to careful not to play the wrong moves like this f pawn. Don't push the f pawn before you castle. After castling, maybe you want to open up some space for your rook, and then you can simply go ahead and open up this file. Otherwise, if you open up this f file before moving out and castling your pieces, moving out your pieces and castling, then this is going to be a disaster for you. So that's all, friends. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.